I would now like to invite the three presenters back on stage for the panel discussion, along with Mr. Ramesh David, Chief Executive Officer of South Asia Gateway Terminals, Mr. Upul Jayatissa, the Managing Director of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, Mr. Hari Krishnan Sundaram, the Chief Executive Officer of the Colombo West International Terminal, and Mr. Jack Huang, Chief Executive Officer of the Colombo International Container Terminal. The session will be moderated for you by Mr. Salya Vikramasuriya, member of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Rohan, thank you very much for this opportunity. I think it's about the third time personally I'm going to congratulate for pulling something like this off amidst great challenges. Well done. Particularly from me, thanks for involving me in a panel comprising such eminent professionals and old friends in a sector that's very close to my heart. Thank you. Thanks to the three presenters for excellent presentations. And building on them, we hope to make this discussion worth your while and give you some takeaways that you can use to build your own businesses wherever you are. So with that, we saw a quick, I would say a shorter term overview from Kat, the perspective of the global economic downturn affecting the business and its impact to come over the next few years. And I think she was very right in pointing us to the need to anticipate such things, tighten our belts and plan accordingly. And then we saw the Ports Authority's view, which was a longer term view, aiming at very ambitious targets. Sri Lanka is not a player of small size in the shipping industry, as you all know, you're from it. And we have, but we have some heights to scale to go. Last of all, the latest entrant to the ports in Sri Lanka is Hamathura Port, which you heard all about from Nish. So we'll talk about that as we go along in this discussion. So my first question to my fellow panelists is aimed at a very senior and experienced gentleman in this sector who is probably best positioned to give us the answer to the question I'm about to ask him because of his involvement in all aspects of the logistics chain, not just the cargo handling, but on the bunkering and the understanding of the bigger picture in the industry. Ramesh, if I may ask you to give us share your thoughts on the current on the current status of the industry. I say this carefully because the context is we've had an impact that we could have planned for better, but didn't eventually plan for, but ultimately it delivered its results. The introduction of the low sulfur rule in 2020 Jan, which I have to say the shipping industry should pat itself on the back for, because the IMO is the one single globally focused, coordinated body that made a commitment such as this and upheld it. So my congratulations to all of you in the sector. How are you dealing with the fallout of that in the context of the global downturn? Now there was feast before famine. There was a fairly exciting period a couple of years ago. Ramesh, your perspective on that would be very, very useful.
Thank you, Salya. I think no one is wrong here. We are facing some headwinds which are going to be possibly over the next 12 to 18 months at a minimum. But the good thing is Sri Lanka, we are primarily a container transshipment hub. I mean, our port is renowned for handling containers. We have lots of opportunity in other areas as well, which opportunities have not yet been fully realized. I mean, we have opportunities in handling cargo, which Hambantota is doing to some extent, but which has a great potential for Colombo as well. We have opportunity in bunkering, we have opportunity in marine services, and I think all of these aspects are going to be covered in detailed sessions that are coming up. But in terms of our container transshipment and our potential for container, the model for our customers, who incidentally are coming off the back of 2 outstanding years, even though we are seeing volumes tapering off this year, all of our customers will make even bigger profits than they made in 2021. And I don't think there's anything that we need to be bashful about. Volumes will come off over the next 3 or 4 months, but this will still leave the shipping lines with rates that are higher than what they were pre-COVID, and very, very good, 2 very, very good years. So this gives them a significant war chest, which they have mainly used for capacity building, new capacity building, capacity that is going to be catering to the newer generation of fuels that have to come in terms of our journey to net zero. And here again is an opportunity for Sri Lanka in order to be playing a meaningful role in potentially leapfrogging where we are today in terms of a marine fuel supplier, to getting into the newer, greener fuel supplies, which have much longer gestation, which require much greater capital investment upfront, but which we are very well placed to do on the back of the fact that we have untapped renewable energy. We are sitting at the doorstep of India, which has a huge renewable energy base, and which will go into large-scale production of future fuels like green ethanol, green methanol, and green hydrogen, and green ammonia. So these are opportunities that Colombo's locational advantage will continue to reap if we get it right in terms of our timing and in terms of the future, deciding the future decision-making that we have to take, both from a policy perspective as well as an investment perspective. But necessarily policy has to be the precursor to investment, and that is where, unfortunately, we have fallen a little short in the years that have immediately passed. But having said that, I think with the fundamentals of container shipping, if I stay with container, the potential of the container port are not going to change over the next decade. We can see the order books of the biggest containers, of all the top 8 container lines. They're all still ranging from 16,000 TEU to 24,000 TEU ships. Now that means that the fundamentals in terms of a hub and spoke operation, where transshipment and relays form the basis of a lot of the key trade routes in terms of both the Trans-Pacific and in terms of the main east-west route. So Colombo, again, in that sense, our locational advantage and the fact that we have now telegraphed our intention clearly to add capacity, which as both Fauzana and Kat pointed out, capacity is an absolute necessity in terms of this, where capacity is a precursor to demand. Demand will follow capacity and not the other way around. So I think in that context, Alia, whilst yes, there will be headwinds in the short term, our customers are well placed, I believe, to face those headwinds, which gives us also an opportunity then to work along with them and take that on in the future. Thank you.
So, in the words of Kevin Costner, if you build it, they will come.
They will come.
Thank you. I have 3 takeaways from this interesting and very, very concise summary. One is the word war chest. By that I mean this is going to be a useful addition to one's arsenal to smooth out the troubles to come and also deal with any straggling effects on the compliance issues connected to the IMO low sulfur rule. Net zero, which again builds up on that, I think that's a very important point, and I have a further use for that term during the course of this discussion. And the last thing that I'm picking up, a very important point that you made, Ramesh, is a policy and consistency of it going forward, taking into account all these challenges. Thank you very much for that. May I now ask Hari, as the newest participant in Port of Colombo's capacity building initiative, to share us his views, an exciting new project. Hari, welcome. And you please give us your thoughts, and particularly if you can touch on things like sustainability, the net zero, and so on and so forth, the modernization that you're building in, I think Kat touched on that. The more we can hear about that from you, the more interesting it will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Salia. I think Rohan yesterday called up and said, new kid on the block. right? So, so the key differentiator that we are doing in the West Container Terminal, as Kat also pointed out in her presentation, is we are focusing a lot on automation. So, our yard is completely automated. The quay side is also having an option to go full. So the quay side also has an option to go fully automated. We are looking at more environment-friendly options in, say, ITVs, for example, electric ITVs. So all these are coming from, being sustainable and, reducing emissions, carbon footprints. So that is something, as a group, we are trying to focus on that. Even in India, we are trying to do, similar, sort of innovations and similar technologies in our terminals, right? I think the most important point here is, everyone has said, in a transshipment hub, the addition of capacity is the most important. If you don't add capacity on time, you're gone. Okay, I don't want to name a shipping line, but I had a chat with them about 6 months back. They were asking me what's the plan of WCT1 and all that. I was saying 2024, we are planning to add about 1.5 million TUs. They said it's too late for us, right? So shipping lines are not going to wait for capacity to come, especially if it's a transshipment port. If it's a gateway port, there's no option. It has to go through that, terminal, right? So we basically had little challenges because of the country situation. We were supposed to start the work in the month of April and May, but we had some delays, we had some challenges. Contractors were not willing to come, country situation, then, this currency problems. But we have overcome that, we have gone past that. Very pleased to say that we have started dredging now. So 22nd of October was the date where we commissioned our dredging. Our marine and jetty works contract has been awarded, and the contractor is mobilizing. So that work is going to start in the next 2-3 weeks. We are absolutely committed on this, and I'm pretty confident that we will add the phase 1 capacity in Q3 of 2024. I saw Fauzana mentioning 2025, but we are trying to expedite it. That's our internal target, and that's what the country needs, right? So that's our plan, and I think all the shipping lines and all the stakeholders whom I speak to, they're also quite keen on the capacities coming up. I'm also very confident that ECT will also come probably during the same time, or 3-4 months here and there. So that's going to give a big boost to the Port of Colombo. But one thing which I want to mention very clearly is, and since SLP is sitting on this panel, is adding capacity is one thing. We need the ancillary services as well. We need the tug fleet to be enhanced. You may have 4 or 5 million capacity, added, but you need pilotage services enhanced. You need, like Kat said, ITT. Most important, we should get it streamlined, because more, ITT volumes will flow through the terminals. You need to go on a, IT digital technology-based solution, to get it streamlined. And because all the hubs globally have done that, right? So that's one of the key focus areas for the Port of Colombo, and I'm very confident that with all the existing terminal operators, I think SAGT is already driving a lot of technology initiatives. So as a Port of Colombo, I'm very keen to participate with all the terminal operators and make the Port of Colombo more digital, right? More, it should be giving it should give a hassle-free operation and a hassle-free solution to the customers. One of the conferences which I attended about a month back, they said there are still about 22 physical documents that are being exchanged, right? So all this could be overcome. We need the port community system in place. So these are the few initiatives that we need to do. We have time. We have 2 years' time where the two capacities are going to come up. I think we all should work together. It's not only the terminals, but also the stakeholders. I say customs and the freight forwarders and the shipping agents, everyone. We all have to come together and get all these things in place so that in 2 years' time, in 2024, we are like ready with everything. Yeah, that's the. Thank you.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you very much. So 2 strong takeaways from that. One is the fact that you're focusing on green, and nobody does it better than India, quite frankly. There was a presentation I was at recently where somebody showed a 25% going to 50% renewable energy in the power sector by 2030 and left it at that. I couldn't help myself from standing up and said, do you realize how much you're talking about there, what that 25% means? So if you're bringing that spirit to the port of Colombo, we thank you for that. And the next point is digitization, digital transformation, and so on and so forth. So that resonates also with what CICT is doing. Kat gave us an outline on that. So thank you, Hari. Now, on the principle that first choice goes to the people who didn't present, I go back to my old friend and colleague Gopul, who taught me many years ago that cargo is sticky. And now we are building all this capacity and we're coming on stream through 2-3 years. Gopul, now we also heard from Romesh that the order books are healthy. Is it too late?
I think we are not late, even though things are happening in a different way. As Kat mentioned, there are downfalls. I think SLPA, we took all these challenges in bad times. We went from British-built harbour to a double-size expansion, that is Colombo Port Expansion Project, in 2008. So that was really a bad time, a downturn, and also the issues that we had in this country. But with the government decision, SLPA continued to remain as a transshipment business. So we went ahead with Colombo Port Expansion Project by investing $400 million, building 6.8 kilometers of breakwaters in 4 years' time. And that's the same time we started the port of Hambantota. That was also in 2008. So SLPA took that challenge with the help of the government and also with the ADB. They helped a lot in for the $400 million investment expansion. So we took all these challenges during bad times. So I think all of we are sitting here today, we have the new partner, CWIT. We have our deepwater terminal, CICT, right? So all we are here because of the challenges, because of the decisions that we have taken, even though it was a little bit delayed. Even ECT, from the SLPA point of view, yes, it's already delayed. As Hari mentioned, yes, shipping lines, same, all top shipping lines, they were telling the same thing. But again, what I would say is that it's becoming a reality now. And you have seen ECT and CWIT, and also you have seen the plans that SLPA is having. To answer another question of what Harin mentioned about this future, yes, we are not only doing the marine side, seaside capacity building, also to accommodate those mega vessels, ultra-large container ships. We had to enhance our tug fleet. Yes, we are on the track, right? And also for ITT, yes, we need transparent digital connectivity to be done between terminals. Yes, we are on that as well. And for the port community system, Fausana is heading from SLP side on that as well. So I think right time to invest for the next jump up.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. I'm going to keep you on the question because actually I asked you that question because you're about the only guy I know who can answer it with a good view of all the competition around and the ability to shift business towards Colombo. I think being the owner of the brand, the SLPA has a good visibility, and you have always been driving strategy through the work you've done personally, that I know. Now, on that note, the move from 22 to 15, I think is very ambitious, very good. We would love to see that happen. Is there anything specifically you see that might need to be addressed? What are the key challenges do you see in achieving that target within the next, say, 10 to 15 years? What would you see we have to do correctly?
I think there are several ways where we can address. One is we have to give confidence to the lines, of our development plans, and so this is one of the good platform where a lot of our overseas partners, they have been here to witness what's really going on. That's why we have arranged a port visit for you all, those who have never been to the port, to see what's really happening. Right. So that is from one side of that. And also on the land side, yes, we are building elevated highway to connect the land side, the connectivity as well. And just to get your point to how to get elevated from where we are right now. Because if you look at this Indian subcontinent, the market that we are serving as transshipment for 83%. If you take the total global container port throughput of over 800 million TEUs, in this South Asia or subcontinent, Indian subcontinent, we only handled 32 million. That is, when you compare the global volume, we are only talking of just 4%. But if you look at the region, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, if you look at the population-wise, 22% of the world population. And our contribution in the container business, including Colombo transshipment, just less than 4%, 32 million. So production centers are shifting, as you can see. I think Kat also highlighted the challenges. Yes, production centers are now shifting from China to down south, East Asia, and to Bangladesh and to India. So we have a big potential in that case to get more cargo. And also the Kat very clearly mentioned his favorite slide, the last one. Yes, saving time. So we are doing a lot of marketing together as Port of Colombo, and Hari can join us in that directive. So we are planning another move, which we have done in the past several times with Ramesh and CICT. But we are doing that to get more and more cargo and make the shippers aware the routes that they can send cargo, not only and how can they save time and money if the cargo routes via. So when we are placing our capacity for the future, same time we have to make the region aware of the shippers, not only the shipping lines. Yes, they will see, they will come and see, they will route their cargo, but also the shippers also should know what benefit they can have if they can influence and they can route their cargo via Colombo to make our dream success. So as Fausana mentioned, yes, we have, whenever we added capacity, we have seen tremendous growth. So when SAGT came in, within 2 years, within 1 year, we reached a million. And same time, yes, with CICT coming in, we have seen the same scenario. So with ECT and WCT, CWIT will coming, we will also will have, because only thing is we have to build our capacity ahead of demand. So it's a demand driven, and we have planned not only for the short term, medium term, but also long term with the North Port development.
Very positive message. There's room in the market for us to improve our numbers. There's potential in the demand. There's potential in the supply, and the sum total of the mighty John Keel's group, China Merchant Shipping Group, Adani Group, and the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, the sum of their efforts will exceed the sum of their collective efforts will help us get there. We have a few minutes more, so I'm just going to ask a very quick question, first of Fauzana, then of Katrina, and finally a quick one from Romesh. Fauzana, you showed us a lot of this land that's going to be available from the reclamation for the North Port and all of that. Approximately what capacity is going to be allocated for bunkers, fuel storage, and so on and so forth in your designs? Just approximately how much?
Now, with the Western Breakwater extension, so we do have an area around 70 hectares for the logistic facility, and we have another around 15 to 20 hectares for the either for the logistic facility or for the any fuel or any oil bunkering or any other facilities. So in the further in the North Port development also, we have a 70 hectare land area other than the oil facility area for the logistic, as well as if somebody wants to have another facility for the fuel, LNG or any other LPG. So we can consider this one as a positive factor to consider for the future. When we are doing the design, in detailed designing for the Colombo North Port, we can consider this.
Thank you, Fauzana, because it's an essential part of any port ecosystem, and we need to have good capacity ready to be had. Kat, may I take, don't put that down, if I may lead on from the fuel subject to, are there any major bottlenecks that you've had over the last few months in terms of shortage of supply and so on and so forth? And are there any contingency plans that you've had to bring into play? How critical is a full fuel supply to the port, not just for bunkering, but also for operations?
Yes, Ali, it's a bit of a touchy subject. Thank you for putting me on the spot. But I mean, it's no secret. Yes, we did have some challenges, but like every challenge, it is overcome. We had some shortages where ITD supplier and as terminal, we were struggling a little bit. However, we have now, as a port, negotiated with the Sri Lanka Petroleum Corporation. We have now bought in dollar payments to the corporation, and we have got a steady supply of fuel and excess to ensure that the port operations will not be disrupted again. Talking about the fuel, something more I just like to add there is also on the electricity side. Same story. We have negotiated with the electricity board as well, and as a port, we have been declared essential services, and the port will not be touched. And that promise has been given to us. And like every other challenge, we have overcome. But I must state that even though we had all these challenges of fuel or whatever that we overcame, our productivity, our consistency, and whatever our commitment as a port never did come down, despite the fact that over 85% of the vessels called in the Port of Colombo is completely out of schedule. So, thank you.
If I was an investor in the port, I would have got a lot more confidence from that. You have security of supply, you have the freedom to expand, and you are masters of your own destiny when it comes to, the import of stuff. Okay, thank you very much. Romesh, a quick one for you, if you don't mind. Start with you and end with you, and that is just to ask you an open question is, we're planning all these things based on current assumptions and current technology. Are there any things out there that you see that might be factored in or have an impact on the port's planning in terms of technology, equipment, services, that kind of thing that you see? You hear talk about things like the Hyperloop and so on and so forth. What's your view on that?
I think one thing that we saw, which you asked Kat earlier also, is that our dependence on our customer is not on our customers alone. When the port came under pressure for the first time, because we've hitherto been insulated from pressures inside Sri Lanka, but with the fuel and with the electricity, when we came under pressure, there was also consternation in our customer's customer. So we had shippers in India, shippers in Bangladesh, who were very worried about sending their cargo through Colombo. And that's a new dimension that we now need to start addressing. That, we've always taken the position that Colombo doesn't compete with Indian ports or compete with Bangladeshi ports. In fact, we complement them. We are an outlet. Our port building is not based on Sri Lanka's economic growth. It's based on India's and South Asia's economic growth. And that needs to be properly conveyed as well. I think that's one factor that's out there that probably the realization was a little firmer in a post-crisis situation. But in terms of investment or in new developments, Alia, I must say within what I can see, and obviously it is not too different to what the future planners of the shipping lines are seeing, because they are projecting for vessels that they are now building vessels that are going to run through to 2050 or 2045. Now, what is open in that is what will power those vessels. Will it be green ethanol? Will it be green hydrogen? Will it be green ammonia? And I think there are variables around those factors that we have to get used to. One thing for sure, it is not going to be heavy fuel oil. So I think that where we need to look at as a country is, okay, what is it that we need to do that is going to then leapfrog and do things similar to what Singapore did in the 1950s in terms of inviting the oil companies there. What is it that we need to do in terms of this new technology to stay current in a shipping status and by way of a hub?
Thank you, Ramesh. That was, again, very rich. I can't add anything to what has just been said by all my fellow panelists, so I'd like to hand over to Rohan with thanks for the opportunity to discuss the subject and wish you all the best in your next sessions.